Man is perhaps the creature with the least or no contribution to the world. Will the human being, who never stops polluting the environment, who tries every possible way to keep his own order intact, bring about his own end? Perhaps this end will not happen in such a short time, but according to my personal opinion, this end will be inevitable in the partially distant future. What can we expect for the world by 2050? Will we witness a shift where corporations replace nations as the dominant forces in geopolitics? Will the planet be plagued by devastating conflicts and wars? Alternatively, could we embrace a new era of enlightenment, where humanity sets aside its differences and collaborates to construct a more equitable and prosperous world? Will everything change radically with a meteor like in the Deep Impact film we watched in our childhood? Here are 10 events predicted to take place by 2050. 10. Coffee in crisis. Climate change jeopardizes our coffee supply, as extreme weather events disrupt the once stable conditions for farmers. Coffee is expected to become a luxury drink in the coming years. Fluctuating temperatures, from cold snaps to scorching heat waves, impede coffee growth. Hurricanes and landslides further compound the challenges, even swallowing entire plantations. Droughts, heavy rains, and pests worsened by global warming are causing coffee crops to dwindle across South America, Asia, and Africa. With a global habit of 2 billion cups per day, the favored Arabica variety, representing 70% of our consumption, faces significant risks. Arabica's limited genetic diversity, derived from Ethiopian mountains, leaves it highly vulnerable to climate change. Thriving within a narrow temperature range of 18 to 22 degrees C and requiring consistent rainfall, Arabica's optimal climate is scarce and restricted to select locations worldwide. 9. King crabs are infesting Antarctic marine ecosystems. In addition to the increasing presence of humanity in Antarctica, some animal species have also started to move to and exploit the continent due to changing environmental conditions. King crabs are one of these species. For tens of millions of years, ice-cold waters had excluded shell-breaking fish and crustaceans from the continental shelf surrounding Antarctica. Rapid warming has now allowed the predatory crustaceans to return. The west coast of the Antarctic Peninsula witnessed a temperature rise of 3.2 degrees Celsius from the 1950s to the 2010s, several times the global average. This prompted king crabs to move up from the outer shelf into shallower waters only 200 meters deep. By the mid-21st century, they will be invaded many coastal areas along the West Antarctic Peninsula. This is going to cause serious disruptions in the food chain and has devastating consequences for the region's unique seafloor communities. 8. Attending schools will be an alien concept. When was the last time you visited the library to acquire a book and expand your knowledge? It may have been quite a while. Well, here's fascinating news. The online education industry is poised to explode, with a projected annual growth rate of 10%. By 2025, it is expected to reach a staggering $325 billion market size. This signifies that parents will have more flexibility in exploring educational alternatives beyond traditional schooling. You'll have the freedom to delve into subjects that genuinely captivate your interest. In 2019, there were already approximately 2.5 million homeschooled children in the United States, and this number continues to grow steadily by 6-8% each year. While transitioning from traditional classrooms to online education presents some challenges, such as the absence of in-person problem-solving and peer interactions, numerous platforms are making virtual learning highly interactive and engaging. So within the next 10 years, this virtual education approach might just become the norm. 7. 1/10 of the global land submerged in sea. In 2019, a research study utilized Coastal DEM, a highly accurate digital elevation model powered by neural networks, and found that global vulnerability to sea level rise and coastal flooding has been estimated to be 3 times higher than previous assessments. The threat today stands to displace over 600 million people living in coastal areas, and the numbers aren't encouraging. The new study estimates a number of prime and populated coastal cities like Vietnam, Hong Kong, Alexandria, Mumbai, Bangkok, and Shanghai will come underwater at high tide by 2050. This could potentially mean around 150 million people are now living on land that will be below the high tide line by the middle of this century. While efforts to reduce emissions and control its harmful effects of climate change will have to be stepped up in a major way, if ignored, huge tracts of land will be underwater in the next 30 years if drastic action is not taken to halt runaway climate change. 6. Tailor-made future generations. In the field of in vitro fertilization, IVF, scientists are expected to leverage big data analytics to compare individuals' genetic sequences with their DNA information. This analysis of gene expression throughout their lives could potentially enable gene modification or personalization before implanting them into embryos for fertilization. These concepts are extensively explored in Hacking Darwin, a forward-looking scientific study by Jamie Metzl, a member of the World Health Organization's Advisory Committee on Human Genome Editing Governance. Metzl envisions a future, around 50 years from now, where lab-conceived babies become commonplace, providing individuals with a wider range of choices for embryo implantation. This may involve eliminating genetic predispositions like heart disease and Alzheimer's, thereby customizing future generations. However, strict ethical considerations and geopolitical conflicts currently surround the regulation of genetic enhancement. 5. Gulf Coast cities are being abandoned due to super hurricanes. The rapid growth of CO2 emissions has led to rising sea levels, a warming of coastal waters, and a more volatile climate system. In the Gulf of Mexico, a new category of super hurricane has emerged. This is becoming a regular occurrence by now. These extreme weather events are nightmarish in scale and intensity. At their peak, winds of 200 mph bring untold devastation. Trees are uprooted and hurled like matchsticks, while skyscrapers visibly sway. Storm surges and flash floods travel up rivers with surreal speed, overwhelming defenses and bringing waves tens of meters high. Damage from these and various other disasters has run into hundreds of billions of dollars. A number of Gulf Coast cities will be temporarily abandoned during this time, including Houston and New Orleans by the time 2045. 4. Homosexual discrimination has declined substantially. In 1800, more than 120 countries had laws against homosexuality. This number increased over the next century, peaking at 160 in the 1920s. The mid to late 20th century saw great progress in human rights, culminating in the first gay marriages during the early 2000s. With the floodgates now opened, many more nations began to allow same-sex couples to form civil partnerships or full marriages, including the United States. This trend was reinforced by the continued spread of democracy and the rule of law, better education, and rapid societal changes wrought by the internet and social media. Younger generations in particular were more open, liberal, and willing to support such policies. By the mid-2040s, a clear majority of the world's countries allow same-sex marriage, while the overwhelming majority have decriminalized homosexuality. Only a shrinking minority of hardline authoritarian regimes, mostly in Africa and the Middle East, will have been continued to outlaw the practice. 3. Japan experiences a major volcanic eruption. In the early 21st century, Japan stands out as one of the most seismically active regions on Earth, experiencing frequent earthquakes and hosting 110 active volcanoes, representing nearly 10% of the world's total. With approximately 70% of its land being mountainous, Japan sits within the Ring of Fire, an area of intense crustal instability where 4 tectonic plates, the Pacific, Philippine, Eurasian, and North American, converge. In the southwestern part of Japan lies Sakurajima, an active composite volcano, previously an island. An eruption in 1914 caused the island to connect with the Osumi Peninsula through extensive lava flows. This eruption, the most formidable of the 20th century in Japan, resulted in the prolonged release of substantial lava flows over several months. Based on assessments of magma supply and accumulation beneath the surface, experts have calculated that a significant eruption is likely to occur between 2041 and 2046. 2. Woolly mammoth will be coming back soon. The Dallas-based company is now working to edit the genes for the reincarnation of the mammal. Bioscience company Colossal plans to impregnate an elephant with an embryo made of mammoth and elephant cells. This de-extinction is made possible by CRISPR gene editing technology, which, like molecular scissors, can insert the extinct DNA into the genome of an Asian elephant. The long-dead woolly mammoth will make its return from extinction by 2027, says Colossal, the company actively working to reincarnate the ancient beast. The company officials have claimed that genetic work could also protect endangered elephants, giving them enough advantages to thrive in other climates. 1. Close approach of the asteroid, 2023 DW. On the 14th of February 2046, an asteroid 50 meters in diameter is predicted to approach the Earth-Moon system at high speed, The object, first discovered by astronomers in 2023, is designated 2023 DW. It belongs to the Onetenth group, which consists of bodies with a semi-major axis of roughly 1.0 astronomical unit, or less the average distance from Earth to the Sun. When first identified, scientists at the European Space Agency put 2023 DW at number 1 place on their risk list of potentially hazardous objects due to its Earth-crossing orbit. NASA calculated the odds of impact at 1 in 560, or about a 0.18% chance. Although unlikely to collide, its mass and speed meant that such an event has the potential to do significant damage. Moving at 24.6 kilometers per s, 15.3 miles per s, a hit would produce energy equivalent to 4 megatons of TNT, enough to destroy a New York-sized city. For comparison, the ancient meteor crater site in Arizona involved an object of similar size, resulting in a crater of 0.7 miles. Based on 55 observations, astronomers produced a risk corridor, spread mainly across the Pacific Ocean, but including the south of Hawaii, plus another potential danger zone across the north of Mexico and the southern United States.